What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is all about getting products and designs manufactured. This is a follow-up video to the video from yesterday, where I continued working on this fake brand that I've just been plotting from scratch called Sugar Baby. We are now on V2 of the Sugar Baby brand concept. We put together our brand armor, we put together our visual identity, we mocked up the 3 initial core products for the brand, defined the trims and hardware, and we put all of our design notes into 3 different Google Docs. We focused on custom designs, premium materials, and a mix between being trendy and unique. Now, when we discuss manufacturing, we're going to make samples of those initial designs and then place a bulk order. In my personal experience running Pathos of Things and releasing collections for my own designer clothing brand, I will send these design specs for the garments to a Clo3D professional. That Clo3D professional then sends me a ton of stuff. They send me a tech pack, this shirt, comes with 3D mockups or 3D renders from Clo3D, and this is sized to the dimensions of an actual person. Little 3D videos. This model is also set up to be the exact height and weight as the model that I shoot photos and videos of in real life. Then I have the Clo3D Pro send me these process videos. They're little vertical sped up process videos. These do well on social media and are also just a fun way to add an extra content pillar to your strategy. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing way more of this on social media. I'm already seeing brands start to implement this style of content because a lot of brands are moving into the 3D fashion design lane. Here's a full horizontal process video that I actually also have on the homepage of my website, which I can show you. Let me pull that up. Okay, here is the website for my own designer fashion brand. Here is that shirt that I just showed you the 3D renders of. And as I scroll down the page, here is the process video, the horizontal process video. So this works really well on my website and it works really well on my social media content. And then last but not least, patterns. Patterns are the very specific dimensions with down to the millimeter that the manufacturer will have to cut and then sew together. So this goes beyond just using mock-up packs and tech packs. I send a tech pack as well. But having a pattern sheet is really what's going to make it a designer brand. The manufacturer is officially working on your cut and sew fabric designs, not just using a blank or stealing a silhouette from another brand, which I see brands do all the time. Once you have all those documents, it's important to just put them in one zip file or folder. And then you're ready to send those to an actual manufacturer. When it comes to picking a manufacturer, there are really 2 options. You have local manufacturers, so those are people in your country, and international manufacturers, just manufacturers outside of your country. I am from the US, I live in California, so this is based on what I'm about to tell you is based on my specific experience. For local US-based manufacturers, you have shorter lead times, meaning it takes less time for you to get your sample and your bulk order. You have more control over the quality. And typically, it's easier to communicate with people from your own country than from a different country. Not every country does business the same way. The main con of picking a US-based manufacturer is that there are way higher production costs, up to 5x what you can find in China. And they are slow. For whatever reason, unless you're a big brand, if you're working with a US manufacturer, they probably don't have the machines, manpower, or fabric sourcing to get your garment made and shipped to you quickly compared to China. Most of these big Chinese factories that you can even find on Alibaba have multiple floors on their factory, each floor dedicated to a different style of garment or fabric. And if they need to source something, they just go upstairs to the 5th floor and find the type of nylon that you want, right? It's really simple and really convenient. Then once they find the fabric that you want, they likely have a machine or the manpower to make your garment really fast. In the US with LA-based manufacturers, I used one LA-based manufacturer. It took them almost 2 months to make one of my samples, and it wasn't even finished. But I will say the quality of the samples that I did make in the US were really high, like way higher than most of the Chinese manufacturers that I've tried. But you are going to pay like 5 times the price. For international manufacturers, and I'm mostly talking about Chinese manufacturers. I've also tried Pakistani manufacturers, but I don't currently work with any Pakistani manufacturers. Only Chinese international. Pros: often lower costs, especially for your bulk order. Access to a wider range of materials and expertise. So like I was saying, they'll likely be able to find the fabric that you want. And they'll likely know how to stitch it and source all of the trims and everything that you need in order to make a full designer garment. Compared to the US, where it might take them way longer to source all of those things. Which leads to very fast turnaround for samples in production. Even though they're on the other side of the world, I can submit a design spec with my tech pack and my patterns, get a sample back within 3 weeks, and then get my bulk order within 4 after that. So 7 weeks total, less than 2 months, I can have a full collection dropped. However, it's not all sweet and gold. There are longer lead times if you choose freight shipping. So freight shipping is a great way to save money on your bulk order compared to air shipping. But freight shipping takes longer. There are potential communication issues if you don't speak Chinese, for example. And there are higher minimum order quantities. In the US, I was offered a 50-piece MOQ right away from day one. In China, I was offered a 200-piece MOQ from day one, and then had to work with that manufacturer, order a bunch of samples, place some bulk orders, and then eventually negotiate. Now I'm down to a 50-piece MOQ because they trust me and they know that I place bulk orders and I'm not just going to order a bunch of samples and then leave. If you want access to my manufacturer, my most trusted manufacturer info is in the Skool group. I make personalized introductions for members of the Pro group. Both of those links are in the description. All right, so let's talk about the sampling phase of this manufacturing process. The sampling process always starts after the design process is done. Then we get all those tech packs, patterns, Clo3D files, etc. from the Clo3D professional. And then I send them to the manufacturer. So here are some real text conversations on WeChat between me and Duke, my main point of contact at the factory I order from. I send them all those files in these compressed zip files. This includes my tech packs, my 3D renders, etc. Duke then sends me a sample invoice, so it's about $80 to get the sample made, and then I pay for fast air shipping, and that is $45, so the total comes out to $125 to get a designer garment sample made. It's really important that you do quality control for all of the samples after you order them before you place a bulk order. First, examine the construction. Stitching looks good, seams look good, overall construction looks good. Look for any inconsistencies like loose threads or areas where the garment might break over time. Verify the measurements and fit. Make sure the sample matches your original design spec. Review the design elements, so ensure that the logos, the tags, embroidery, or any design-specific elements are properly applied. And it's important that the samples match your vision and everything is in line with your vision and how you explain to the manufacturer that you wanted the sample to look. If you notice that things are super off, then maybe the manufacturer wasn't paying attention, and that's something you could have a discussion with them about. Or on the flip side, maybe you need to improve your tech packs or improve your design specs. Next, we have material testing. This is where you check the fabric weight, texture, and durability. When I ordered 280 GSM samples of t-shirts, I actually was not expecting the fabric weight to be so heavy. So I also placed orders for 250 GSM of that same design to check the fabric weight and see if there was much of a difference in quality. And then super important, check whether the fabric behaves as expected, such as maintaining its shape after stretching or handling. These are the old logo tees that I made. So these looked great on first wear, but after like 3 or 4 wears, this neckline became super warped and like bacon neck. All right, so it was a really thick material, really high quality cotton jersey, silk screen print on the back that was very nice. But the fabric warped in the neckline, and this neckline needed to be reinforced. And that's something that I realized after ordering samples and then doing a quality control check. Yeah, so wear tests, that's like what I was just saying. Wear it at the gym. If you are making athletic wear, test it in the environment where the customer would wear that garment. If you make club wear, wear it to the club, test it in the club. If you make athletic wear it in the gym, wear it working out, wear it playing sports. And then wash and care test. This is super important. Don't order a sample and then place a bulk order without washing it first. Check to see if there's any fading, shrinkage, or fabric distortion. I noticed that the light blue Pathos logo tees, this is the same t-shirt I just showed you, but in a different color. Before it was cream, now this one is light blue. This light blue color faded to almost like a pale blue-white over time after you wash it a couple times, which in my opinion was kind of cool, but that definitely wasn't the expected outcome. And I think some customers maybe thought that was a little weird, or they felt like the shirt just kind of died over time, which is not what I was going for. So do your quality control, do your wash, care, wear tests. Very important. Here are some images of samples I made, and here's a video of one of the samples being printed with a screen printer. So let's pretty cool. Here's a photo from the manufacturer of one of my hats, and then here you could see there are some other samples of the same hat design in the back. And then here's a video of me on the patio at my whole crib, open up a big box of these samples. Here I'm wearing an old Pathos hoodie, I'm wearing an old Pathos hat. And then I open the box, and then I have t-shirts and some cargo pins and some jeans and a cool jacket. So yeah, I like to document the process of getting my samples. If I need to make any revisions, I will just plainly explain them in very simple terms to my point of contact at the factory, and then we'll go back and forth about it for a while, and then I might order new samples until they're perfect. But what I've found is that when I switched from doing my own tech packs and patterns to outsourcing to a Clo 3D professional, if we get the garment looking exactly how I want it on the 3D model, because the 3D model is based on the height and weight of a real person, usually the sample is perfect. So the only time that I'll need to make sample revisions is if the factory does something completely wrong and it's not my fault. For example, this logo was embroidered on the front of this windbreaker upside down. So I went to the manufacturer and I said, I want to make sure that when I order bulk, this doesn't happen, because this happened actually to 2 samples with 2 different designs. And shit happens, you know, like that's fine. But it's really important to communicate with the manufacturer like, hey, this is wrong. You didn't follow my tech pack. It's right side up on my tech pack. It's not upside down. And I've actually once gone as far as saying, I need confirmation that you're going to get this right before I place a bulk order. I had them make a new sample and then expedite it to me so I could check, which just holds the manufacturer accountable. And then they will take it seriously and ship the fixed sample to me quickly. At least that's what happened when I did this, because they knew that I was like right on the line for placing a bulk order. And placing bulk orders is how these manufacturers make the majority of their money. They're not trying to make money off of a ton of brands ordering samples. They're trying to make money from a couple of those brands that order samples, eventually placing bigger bulk orders. So I just kind of laid the law. I was like, look, man, I'm serious about this. And I need to know that you're taking it serious and you're paying attention to all the details in my tech pack. So I need you to make this sample again for me. And then if I get the sample and it's perfect and there are no issues and we've confirmed the details, I will place a bulk order. And everything went smooth after that. All right, so once your samples are done, you've done your quality control, it's time to place a bulk order, which just means ordering more than one of design. There's one major thing that you need to understand before placing a bulk order, and that is the concept of an MOQ, or a minimum order quantity. Minimum order quantities are the smallest number of units a supplier is willing to sell you at a time. In other words, you need to order a certain number of pieces in order for them to even begin production. So let's say you get a t-shirt design perfect, or you get a hoodie sample perfect, and you're like, I'm ready to go. I want to order 10 hoodies. They're going to be like, sorry, but you can't just order 10 hoodies. If you want to place a bulk order with us, you're going to need to make 200 hoodies, because that's our MOQ, or our minimum order quantity. Real life example with that guy Duke, who's my point of contact at my current manufacturer factory. When I first started working with Duke back in 2022, I said, hey, what is your MOQ and price per piece for the items that we made samples for? Duke said, usually our MOQ is 200 pieces, each design, each color. What that means is if I want to do a hoodie in black, that I'm going to have to order 200 black hoodies in order to place a bulk order. If I also want to do that hoodie in white or cream or blue or whatever, it's going to be an additional 200 pieces per color. For 99.999% of brands, placing a bulk order of 600 hoodies for your first drop is just not feasible. So I said, can you check to see if it's possible for me to reduce that MOQ to 100 pieces and you raise the price per piece? Because I knew that I didn't have the space in my apartment to hold more than 100 pieces. Duke said he could apply to his boss to reduce the MOQ to 100 pieces, and he said that's all he could do. So I placed a bulk order for 100 pieces. Once production was finished, I had Duke send me photos of the production run, and then he packed and shipped everything to me. Here's a common breakdown for the sizes you should order. So let's say you're ordering 100 shirts. Do 10 small, 40 medium, 40 large, 10 extra large. That's just the most common distribution based on data for other brands. This is a great place to start. Then once you have data from what your customers typically order, you can adjust this breakdown. So you might have data showing that the majority of your customers are a size 34 pants or a size extra large hoodie, then you know for the next collection you might order more extra large than the last time because you know those will just sell more or they're more in demand with your specific audience. I told him that I wanted to order more colors, but I didn't have space to hold inventory for hundreds of pieces. So I asked if it was possible to order 50 pieces per color for 2 colors and adjust the price. Duke applied to his boss, and then his boss agreed to make 50 pieces of each color for me. The price per piece went up a little bit, but it wasn't enough to steer me away. When members join FBV Pro and they need a manufacturer, I do personalized introductions with Duke, my manufacturer in China, and members of the Pro group. Not only that, but Duke extends the 50-piece MOQ offer to anyone that I connect him with. So if you want to skip months of negotiating MOQs and placing expensive bulk orders at 100 or 200 pieces MOQ, if you connect with me and I connect you with Duke directly, you'll get to start your brand with a 50-piece minimum order quantity. If we do some quick math, this shirt is the shirt I showed you the 3D mock-ups for. And then here are a couple pages from my tech pack for that shirt. And here's that shirt on my website. So just goes to show I'm actually utilizing these strategies that I show you in all my videos, and I'm actually building a real brand. This shirt costs $22.50 per piece. $22.50 times 50 pieces is $1,125. Cost me $100 to make the sample. It cost me about $200 to get all of the design files from the Clo 3D Professional. So that costs $1,425, a little under $1,500 for the entire bulk order, including the designs. So for $1,500, if you follow all the steps and use my Notion templates and my AI tools, you can launch a full cut and sew designer fashion brand. So that's it for this video about manufacturing. If you found this helpful at all, please like and subscribe, hit the bell notification. It helps me out so much. If you want access to my whiteboards, my materials, my AI tools, and more, join the Fashion Brand Vault Skool community. It's completely free to join. In the FBV Notion Vault, I have an entire Notion system for manufacturing, selecting your manufacturer, putting together your sampling workflow, your bulk production planner, and your packaging and sourcing system. This is going to help you out tremendously and keep you on track, so you get your samples made and your bulk production ordered as fast as possible with the highest possible quality. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover in a future video, please leave a comment, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.